Bubblegum, soda pop, cookies and cream, heroin, coke, and Jim Beam, meth heads, tweakers, they get real lean, ODs and hospitals know what I mean. Welcome to Twisted AA, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim, and I'm a raging drug addict. Recovered. Cocaine. This is the very first meeting, and this is all green. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to all evolve. It's a bit of an uncomfortable feeling. I haven't been to a meeting in 451 days of sobriety. Why? Because I can't hear. I am deaf. Now, there's such an emphasis on going to a meeting that it really started to scare me. What happens is I go to the meetings, sit in the meetings, for an hour and a half, I'm just getting madder and madder and madder. And the logic behind that I'm going to actually get something out of this is unheard of. That's a bit of a joke there. Now, I have been a relapser for 35 years, okay? 35 years. And what I found out was, in hindsight, that I'm just collecting all the pieces of the puzzle and ingredients. God, stand-up comedy, the 12 steps of AA, those are the main things. Everybody is welcome today. I started this meeting. Anybody that's trying to get sober, anybody that wants to stay sober, deaf people, people that are hard of hearing, people that can't hear, or some weird reason you can't get to a meeting, especially with the COVID and the lockdown and everything. It's quite difficult. And I'm going to try and convey everything I can. Like I said, I have a lot of experience of relapsing, but I'm sober now. And I'm here to help. And I need your help forever. Oh, let's calm down a little bit here. Okay. The main thing that helped was finding God. And it took a long time. I thought something was wrong with me. It was completely broken and ready to give up. If you don't have some kind of faith, I highly suggest you find it. Okay? Towards the end, maybe 15 months ago, and then a few months before that, I started seeing the end of the tunnel here. And I started thinking, I don't want to die with regrets. So, I'm going to be serious in the meeting. First and foremost, this is an AA meeting. But I'm going to instill jokes because I need to lighten things up so that I can get through it. A big turning point for me was stand-up comedy. I took some classes. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I feel I was almost at the end of my life. And without realizing, I was on stage one night and I had written a joke, and it was basically a step 5 joke. And those of you who know what the 4th and the 5th step are, oh yeah. But those of you that don't, you're on the edge of your seat, okay? And after I did that joke, we were driving home with my wife, and she looked at me and she goes, "Did you really do that?" Yeah, oh yeah. It was just the beginning, and I was just getting warmed up. So this is the first meeting. This is what the meeting's going to be about. I'm going to be bouncing all over the place because I have 35 years of reading books, writing stories, praying to God to no end, changing my life to get to this point of the 451st day. So I'm gonna walk you through my story real quick. Yeah, it's quite boring to me because I've lived it. But I started doing, first time I tried cocaine was in high school. I was 17. I was in a band, which had a lot to do with me losing my hearing. I also had a lot to do with me becoming a drug addict. Damn the devil to hell. But that was my life, okay? For 35 years, losing my hearing, it dug me deeper and deeper into massive isolation and drug addiction. So after getting out of high school, I got a really good job, and which gave me some more money to buy as much as I wanted. I was kind of managing for a while, and then I started smoking crack. Okay, this is where it just goes off the charts, okay? I lost everything. Property, cars, motorcycles, retirement money, and I ended up moving back in with my parents for a couple of years. At the end here, I'm going to tell you one story about rock cocaine. I went through rehab the first time I was 20 years of age. 21 years of age, I went through rehab the second time. The most I was ever sober was about 4 months, but it was like a dry drunk. And then what happened over the period of the next 30 some odd years, I would go back and forth to the AA meetings. So I'm gradually losing more and more of my hearing. So I'm still just bombarded with depression. And I'm going to kill myself someday. I just know it. And I was going to drive my car off the cliff. That's how I was going to do it. It's clean, neat, in and out, you know. I was going to use the cheapest car I had, you know, not the most expensive one. But, okay. I thought about that almost every day, how I was going to do it. It's very painful. Just do more drugs and get rid of the way that feels for a moment. So, at some point, I got married and I had a child. And there was something there. I stopped smoking crack and I went back to just snorting it. Because snorting it's not quite as high. And then I got added some alcohol into it. So this kind of started churning my alcoholism. Alcohol, drugs, nicotine, whatever. It's all drugs. So for keep things simple, I'm just going to refer to it as a drug rather than alcoholism. It's all the same. And everything, you know. So I got to a point where I could manage it. Me and my wife, we started a business, and maybe every 3 or 4 days a week, I wouldn't do anything. But the 5th, 6th, 7th day, I would just get slashed. And that went on for years. Of course, it almost destroyed the marriage, the business, on countless occasions. And then during this whole time, I'm still reading books. I'm still trying to give myself a chance. I just felt there was something there, but I just couldn't get it. And there were a couple of times where I completely just lost it. And I can't do this. I'm going to die like this. And then something happened. September 25th, 2019. I tattooed it on my wrist. That's my sobriety date. So what happened was, Facebook. Like I say, there's a season for everything. All these things just started kind of coming together. It took a long time, I believe, in hindsight, because I've dug the hole so deep. It takes a long time to crawl out of that. And you don't have any more patience, you know? We're instant gratifier masters. Having to wait a week for something is like, forget it. An old friend popped up on Facebook. I haven't seen this guy over 20 years. He was actually the guy that replaced me in the band. He was more popular. So I sent him a message because what blew me away was he had put on Facebook that he is 25 years sober that day. And that really got me. We were in the same place at the same time. And he stopped, and I just kept on going. So I talked to him 3 or 4 times. And then I had a spiritual experience, like the big book talks about. That they're probably not how you would imagine it to be. I didn't see a bright light, but it was like a knowing. I had bought 2 bottles of vodka, a case of beer, 8 ball of cocaine. Everybody was gone for the weekend. And did it all. And then I couldn't sleep for 3 or 4 days. And just so happens like the mix of the blow nowadays, sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's not. I happened to be a super strong mix that day. Speed. And that really freaked me out. And it really made me think about all those days in the 80s when it was really good. It really keep you up. And I just didn't like it. I was really sick and tired of that. So I told my wife, she came home for the weekend. I got my wife and my son together and I said, okay, here's the deal. I don't want to be like this anymore. And I'm really going to give it one more shot, just one more shot. And I tell my wife, if I relapse, I'll file for divorce the next day because I don't want to go through this anymore. I don't want her to go through this anymore. And I meant that. So I called up this guy, Facebook, and I asked him, I said, but before I did that, I made a list of the things that I need to do. These things are just coming to me now, popping into my head. I think I had all the ingredients and my season was upon me, you know? And I called him up and I asked him if he could work the steps with me because I've never done any of the steps. That's why I realized that God had to stand up in the steps were the main things because I knew I can't get to any meetings. And that really scared me. What am I going to do? And this YouTube meeting was one of the things on the list. But I've done everything on that list. This is the last thing. Because when I was sober for 1 year, he sent me a message. He said, you have but one responsibility now, to take that message to other alcoholics. And I was like, how am I going to do that? You know? And then this popped back into my head. And I wasn't sure I wanted this responsibility. But God kept tapping on my shoulder. So here we are. So I asked him to do the steps. And I also went to recoveryranch.com. And they have a really neat system breaking down all the steps. The first step, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives became unmanageable. It sounds like a verbal, okay? But when I went to that place, they walk you through everything. I ended up writing 6 pages for the first step. So that's how I looked at it. I was just doing all the work. I bought 6 of these journals. Each journal has a different title. I'm writing all kinds of different things. And the house is just flooded with notes and stuff and books and, you know. And those are the things that I had accumulated over the years. So I didn't ask him to be my sponsor because I didn't want to let him down. Knowing the kind of guy I am, you know, my past 35 years. Yeah, right, you know. So when I was about 6 months sober, I asked him to be my sponsor, and I explained to him why I waited. And he said that was fine, because in the big book, I think he said the first 162 pages, they don't mention a sponsorship. Okay, cool. So anyway, we've done all the steps, and we did steps 4 and 5, and those were fun. So basically, I'm 451 days sober now. I go back and I read through my steps from time to time and get reacquainted with what's going on. And I want to read you one story if I can get through it. The big book talks about insanity. How we became insane. And we're willing to do anything to get high. I'm going to read this to you. This happened to me one night. These kinds of crazy things happen all the time. Okay, the time is 1:46 a.m. I'm driving down the no man's land yet again, what's known as MacArthur Park. Having not slept for 2 days now, with shaky hands, Sweat pouring down my face, I roll up on Bonnie Bray Street. It's pitch black outside. All the street lights are knocked out by the dealers. Two guys walk up to my car. I feel the gun press into my ribs. Give me all your money, in a calm, controlled voice. The second guy grabs the money out of my hand and he pulls down my shirt, revealing a chain. And they grabbed the chain off my neck, breaking the clasp, and they walked away. So I rolled out of there. I drive up maybe a mile to the nearest bank, withdraw another $40. I mean, I'm down there, okay? I can't come home empty-handed, right? I turn around, I go back down a different street. There's no guns, but there's more dealers. I make the score, I head back to my motel. 3 hours later, I need more rocks, okay? Now this time, it's not as dark. The sun is starting to crest. Traffic is getting worse when the depression is growing, which is normal for the next morning. I go down Bonnie Bray again. And as luck would have it, I see the same two guys that held me up earlier. I guess they had a good night. They were feeling pretty good. The one guy walks up to my car and he goes, "It's your lucky day." He gives me $40 worth of pure rock cocaine. And he goes, free of charge. That's insanity. I did that every day, every other day for years. Till I had no more money, I had nothing. So, that's going to be pretty much the meeting for the day. Like I said, this is going to progress. I'm looking forward to how this is going to evolve. A shout out to Chris, Keith, Patrick, the lovely Sam. These are the sober people that I talk to on Facebook. My sponsor set up this little tiny group for the stupid deaf man who is not sober. Just so you know that I love you. I'm here for you. I need you to be here because I need your help forever, and you're not alone. Leave a comment. It's something that you might want to talk about. I'll research it, and we'll go from there. Until then, don't take the first drink.